my name is Anthony Madden and welcome to the Three Lives of Music. Today with me I have got Alan.
Hello, that's me.
And I've got George.
Hi guys.
And today we are going to be discussing how music and gaming can blend together. I'll pass the microphone to George so then he can ask me many questions about gaming.
So Anthony, for visually impaired people, what we want to know is, what is gaming?
So gaming is a experience of a lifetime, really, where we get to go to, you get to escape to a different world, whether it be chasing wolves in the forest, or or racing in cars. It is basically you can escape to whatever reality that you want to, really. And it's either on PC or console, which is basically just two big massive machines, big massive hunks of metal, and you just play with either your friends or alone.
And Anthony, when did you get into gaming?
I got into gaming really young, around 5, 6, where my first game was a Pokemon game. And ever since then, I've never really looked back, really.
And obviously, I think you've already answered this, but I'll say it anyway. What is it you most enjoy about gaming?
Just the escapism and being able to go through different realities and the escapism, really.
Do you listen to any music that is related to gaming? Like, what does music do to help with gaming?
Oh, so music helps set the tone for gaming, where it allows you to really immerse yourselves in that said world, whether it's in a medieval village. Of course, there'll be tavern music, or there'll be normal, like a bard playing on the said instruments.
And I do notice that sometimes when you're in a game, I don't know whether this is game shows, but I think it still counts, when the music gets tense, something exciting's normally happening.
Yeah, it's normally like that. So in a way, it works well. It kind of blends with a lot of mediums in media, whether it be game shows, the news, true crime, documentaries, you name it. It blends well with being able to explain a story, basically. So as you don't know much about gaming, we are going to now show you what we mean when we mean it sets the tone in a video game. We're gonna play you some pieces of music to show you what we mean by setting the tone in a video game. So as you can see, George, what's happening here is there is 4 people who are about to go to battle with some pocket monsters, or Pokemon as some people will know, which is a game where, again, you get to collect pocket monsters and use them and battle with them. And there's basically this big massive Pokemon that you have to basically defeat and conquer is the best way to describe it. And that's all really I could probably describe to you, really. So George, what do you think is happening with that piece of music?
I'm really not sure.
Okay.
What did that what did that music make you think of? Sort of like, for me, it's quite upbeat.
Yeah, it sounded like something like big was happening.
Yeah, like you're at the sort of starting event.
Yeah.
It sounds very like we're about to face something, or like we're about to begin something. Maybe it sounds like an adventure game to me.
Yeah.
That's like we're about to embark on something. Like it's very upbeat and get ready to go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm now going to pass the mic back to Anthony.
Okay, so as you can tell, George is very much into his music. So we are now going to ask him what he plays for his music as well. So George, what music do you like to listen to, really?
The music I like to listen to is, for example, like Michael Jackson, because his music's really upbeat and funny in a way. And I like how, you know, some songs give you powerful messages to, like, help the world.
What do those Michael Jackson songs make you feel?
They make me feel happy, and they make me feel, you know, like, empowered to do more, especially the one, Heal the World.
Is there any favourite songs that you have of Michael Jackson?
My favourite one, I'm sure quite a lot of you have heard of it, is called Thriller.
What do you like most about Thriller?
So what I like most about Thriller is the spooky aspect of it, especially the evil part at the end, you know, where they do that laugh. Don't try and copy the laugh. Don't.
So George, how did you get into music?
I think I got into music when I'd done music lessons at school. I'm not even going to go into school, you don't want to know. And then I just started listening to it more on YouTube, like you do, and it just really interested me.
So George, so apparently you're in a music band. What does that consist of, really? As in, like,
just so that listeners are, you know, in the loop, the music band is here at Wirral Society of the Blind. Basically, it's on a Wednesday, and we play, like, tambourine. We have a guy who plays drums, and then we do some singing. But at the moment, we're not doing Michael Jackson, we're doing Disney songs, would you believe?
Step into a world of magic and of sound, where every single note can lift you off the ground. We'll live 1,000 lives in every single song. This is the place where you belong. The 3 lives of music. The 3 lives of music.
Of all the Disney songs that you performed, which one has been the best one, do you think?
There are 2 that I like. I like See the Light from Tangled, and I like Moana's How Far I'll Go.
Well, thank you very much, George. So I might as well start off. So Alan, how did you get into gaming?
I've been into gaming for years, so I got into gaming as a kid more than anything. My sister got like a PlayStation 1 when I was really young, and she didn't play it, so I stole it. And I had like a Game Boy Color, I think it was, when I was young. Got into play Pokemon the same way you did, just obviously a much older, more rubbish version of that. I can hear you smiling. I can't see you smiling, but I can hear it, which is the worst thing. But yeah, I played games most of my life. Sort of always been in gaming. It's always been like an easy escape for me. So as I started losing my vision and stuff like that, I got more and more into gaming as I sort of grew up. So it was always like a nice easy fallback, really, of something to sort of do and play with when I was young, and it just stuck with me for most of my life after that.
How do you think music helps with gaming?
I love music and gaming, to be honest with you. There's so much to go into about it. There's, like, for me, obviously, we're growing up with gaming and stuff, like, sometimes like game soundtracks are like soundtracks like part of my life almost. It's like I think back to like certain games I just absolutely fell in love with, and like the music in them sort of sits in those memories, you know what I mean? Like I grew up playing role-playing games. One of my favourite ones is The Witcher, and like that's got such like an epic soundtrack. It's very like string heavy, sort of classical music heavy, but then it's got like lots of like bard music in it and stuff like that. It's fantasy based, so it's very sort of Lord of the Rings like almost, if that makes sense to people at home. So it's just got lots of music like that in, as you're exploring these places and then like finding new things in it. It's just, yeah, the music's always there, and sometimes it tells you like what's coming on. It builds the tension in the games. It's brilliant.
I want to play The Witcher, to be fair, because of course it's one of, in a way, as gamers like to say, a cult classic, which basically just means.
Are you calling The Witcher a retro game to have a go at me for being old?
I mean,
moving on.
Yeah. So anyway,
I'll continue with Denny's obviously lost it. Basically, what we also want to know is what kind of music, you know, when you're not in gaming, what kind of music do you like to listen to?
I listen to quite a varied mix of music, to be honest with you. Like, it depends what I'm into at the particular time. Like, currently I'm quite into like sort of dark, like electric synth music for some reason. Like, that's tickling my brain in a certain way at the moment. But like, I go through stages. I've been into like heavy metal. I love pop music. I love sort of really like 80s music, or it's like unapologetically happy. It just depends on sort of what mood I'm in. It's a good mood setter, which I think why it works so well in games, to be honest with you.
I agree. Music does make you feel in a good mood, apart from when the songs are depressing. If you had to pick...
I love a bit of depressing music, though. I've got a video clip here of a song from a game that I love, which is really depressing, that I want to play 4 years later, so you're so lucky.
If you had to pick a favourite artist, who would it be?
I don't know. I don't really have one, to be honest with you.
There, Tom.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have an artist. I got 3 phases of just loving bands a lot. I grew up really loving like Nirvana and things like that, and Foo Fighters.
Sounds messy.
Yeah, messy's fun though.
So this question is for Anthony and Aaron. So for people with a visual impairment, how accessible is gaming for us, and what kind of games would you recommend for people with a visual impairment?
Oh, that is kind of a hard question, because it's kind of grown, I think, in recent years. But at the same time, I'd say it's probably not really accessible, but quite accessible, because of course, already all you need to do is, you know, kind of the game already tells you where to go. But I think in a sense, there's like little sound markers that help you kind of understand where you're going and where you need to get to, really. I don't know if you agree with that, Alan, really?
Yeah, I mean, accessibility in video games, it does need a lot of work doing for it still. There are a lot of good games that have made the effort to try and make games more accessible, but it's hit and miss a lot of the time. There's no big sort of oversight over gaming and stuff that forces accessibility settings into gaming. A lot of the times it's on the backs of the creators of the game to sort of be bothered to put stuff in. So like, there's certain games that have come out recently that are really accessible. Games like The Last of Us Part 2 is famously one of the most accessible games out there. Like, they made a distinctive point to make that game particularly accessible. So they have lots of sort of options for customization, because like, that's the problem with like disability, is there's not an option that you can tick to just put it on. Everyone has different needs, so it's finding methods within games to sort of cater to all of those needs.
There are a couple of games out there that I do play, but it's not on a console or a PC. They're on my phone, like Blind Cricket and Audio Game Hub, so they're really accessible.
Yeah. See, so that's what I'm talking about. So like, obviously for those games, they've built that game from the ground up with accessibility in mind. I think a lot of the larger games at the moment tend to tack accessibility on as a second thought, or even it often can fall down to members of the community that play the game itself to create those accessible things for games, in terms of like, they're called mods within the gaming space. And sort of like, so there's certain mods that people have went and made off their own back that actually do make games accessible for people that are blind. For example, there's a game called Stardew Valley, which is essentially a farming simulator game. So you inherit your granddad's farm, and it's all run down and stuff like that, and you have to, you know, rebuild the farm. You've got to go and cut down the grass and start planting seeds and stuff like that. And obviously it's a very visual game. It's quite cartoonish. But the reason that you can play it if you're completely blind is someone went and made a bunch of sound cues that play or read, or you can read out items in the game, so you know what you're planting, and then certain sound plays when you walk on grass, for example, or you leave an area, and there's certain sound cues that play to go to certain zones and stuff. But that's like a diamond with it amongst the rough for a lot of games, really, because most of them don't have that, and they just sort of let people figure things out for themselves, and a lot of the times you don't have that option. So it just depends. It's a luck of the draw, really, for a lot of games. There's a really cool website called Can I Play That, if you ever Google that, and that is a website run by disabled people for disabled people, And what they do is they go in and they'll play games first, and they'll come back and they'll say, like, how accessible is this game? It's actually ran by a blind man called Stephen Saylor, I think. I believe he worked on The Last of Us 2, actually, as a consultant. But that website is about sort of looking at video games and what can be played and what can't be played and how we can get around it, and they make guides and stuff to help make games more accessible and stuff like that.
Well, I'm not really experienced really in accessibility. I kind of, not straight away, I don't find the need for that many. Of course, there's subtitles to, you know, just make sure that I'm actually listening now to what is being said. But other than that, I don't really access the accessibility options, so I'm probably not the best person to talk about that with. So from most of my friends, again, I think for them, they at the time had probably better vision, but of course they would still make sure to use accessibility. So as I mentioned before, there's like icon, like little sound effects kind of help you get like a object or a weapon or whatever to kind of help them on their gaming journey, whatever that game that it is. But again, mostly they had good enough vision to play a game probably normally. So again, I'd say unfortunately I'm probably the least qualified out of me or Alan to kind of.
I've got a lifetime in gaming further than, and so that's sort of where my knowledge comes in. And
Amazing, shut up.
I've lost my vision throughout my life, really, to a much more severe degree than you, I believe. So like I say, I grew up with alright vision until I was sort of in my mid-20s. So I went through that journey, and I went through gaming with that journey almost of games I could play, I could no longer play, or I've changed the types of games I've played because of my vision loss and stuff like that. And even nowadays, I tend to play more board games and tabletop games that depend more on imagination and stuff like that, as opposed to, you know, digital games for that very reason, really. So you sort of adapt and you move along as you do, really, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because I think that is the thing about disabled people and gaming. They know how to adapt really quickly. You know, because I think it's finding that joy and, again, that escapism from it, really. So, George, why do you think that many visually impaired people, or disabled people for that matter, like music?
Well, I'm going to go with visually impaired people first, because that's obviously my category. But I think visually impaired people like music more, because they don't have, you know, to look at subtitles or anything like that, and they don't have to, you know, look at any visuals, but they can just, like, know what the music is on about from listening to the words, and they can connect with it.
What do you think a visually impaired person, from your experience, what would you say is the best thing about being able to play music as someone with visual impairment? I
think playing some music is accessible, you know, if you're a visually impaired person, because they've got like markers and they're quite easy to use. So for a tambourine, you know, you just shake it and, you know, the noise comes out like a bell. But with some instruments, the problem you've got is they are quite visual, and you have to know exactly what to press to make the, you know, sound play, and sometimes it can be tricky to figure that out. We've had a couple of new people come into the room who've been watching the podcast being recorded. We've got Lynn and Jill, and we are now going to ask them, because we know that they are into music, what they think and what they think of the podcast so far.
So we start with what they think of the podcast so far. So Lynn, what do you think of the podcast so far?
Well, from what I've seen, I'm absolutely delighted with it. I think it's great, and it's really given you guys an opportunity to get your own thoughts and feelings about what matters to you. So on that, from what I've seen, I think it's looking really positive.
And Jill, I will ask you the same question.
It's an interesting mix of all your different interests, isn't it? You've found common ground between you, and you've talked about how gaming interests you, or what gaming is, and how music backs it up and makes it interesting.
Lynn and Jill, we know that you are both into music from what people have told us, so we just want to know what you like about music and what you find most interesting about it. Ling, you can go first if you want.
Okay, thank you, George. I mean, I've always loved music, and unfortunately, I'm not the most musical person in the world, but I
Wow.
love listening to it.
We've had you in a choir.
I was, yes, I was many moons ago. So I suppose, yes, I have had some experience of doing that. But to me, music is a huge part of life. It's expression in so many different ways. And I like lots of different types of music. I was very much, still am into rock music, but then again, I listen to classical too. So I think each mood that you have, a piece of music can reflect that. It can pick up on emotions, memories. I think music is, well, certainly a big part of my life.
Yeah. And obviously with the group here as well, you enjoy that on a Wednesday morning, don't you?
I certainly do. That really adds a spark to my day. I sit in the office and listen to some of my favourite songs being sung by you, George, and the other fellow members.
And Jill, the same question goes to you. What interests you about music?
I think, as Len said, it has something for every mood you have. I think it's engaging. It's often a very community thing, people playing together. There's different types you can choose. You like punk, or you like classical, or you like all sorts of different things. There's a type of music for you, whatever your preference, really.
We hear, Jill, that you play in a drumming band. What do you enjoy most about that?
I think it's really good for concentration, because you've got to keep your rhythm going while other people are playing other rhythms. But again, it's fun. It's a group of about 8 to 10 of us. So it's the community atmosphere. We get to play gigs, so you reach out to the audience and people enjoy it too. People are dancing to you. That's always a really nice thing. So it's a challenge. You've got to concentrate, but it's really satisfying as well.
What kind of music do you like, Jill?
I like all sorts of different types of music. The drumming band is Latin American rhythms, but I like all sorts of things, really. Broad taste, I'd say.
So, Jill, we've heard that a guy called Francisco runs the drumming band. Could you tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, very interesting guy. Originally from Chile. He's an international artist in his own right. So he's a drummer, and it's amazing just listening to him. It's incredible, the stuff he does. He also engages a lot of community groups, inspiring them through drumming as well. So he travels, does quite a lot of international travel, and he once actually played in front of Nelson Mandela. Shows the sort of standard he is, really.
And one more for you, Lynn. I should have asked this before, completely forgot. So we know that you were obviously in a choir when you were in school. What did you enjoy most about that?
I just loved singing with them. I loved learning the songs, the pieces of music, and being part of a community as well. And I'll say this now to you, it probably depends on who I stand next to as to what pitch I sing in. Yes, so it might take me a few minutes to join in, but once I've got the pitch, I think I'm okay.
Yeah.
So yes, I just loved doing that. I love doing that.
So I'm afraid we're now coming to the end of the podcast, but we are now going to discuss what we have all learned from each other. So what we've learned from Lynn and Jill, our guests, and what we've learned from each other as well. So what I've learned is that some games are really accessible, for visual impairment people, but some games really aren't. It's just about finding the correct ones. And I've also learned how music can really help set the tone for, music, for gaming. How some games can be happy, so the music's happy, and some games can be a bit more sad, so the music's more depressing, if you get what I mean. So now, Anthony, what have you learned from us?
Thank you very much. Well, what I've learned is that music can really touch a lot of people and can help bring people together, really, and as we learned from Francesco, sorry if I butchered the name, that you can always have and always strive for like a high standard, whether it be music or something else that you want to do for the local community. So Alan, have you learned anything?
I think that no matter sort of what barriers and stuff people face, I think there's so many things that can connect so many different people together. So obviously we've spent a lot of time talking about music and gaming, but even with people that don't play games and stuff, we've been able to have quite an easy discussion about things, and everyone's got a different connection to music and stuff. So I think it's quite it's always an interesting topic because it's like a universal language really amongst people, which I think is cool.
And I think it's only fair because obviously they've been listening to a bit of it. Lynn and Jill, have you learned anything from this?
Well, yes, I think we have, haven't we, Jill? Yeah, we have. But we've also learned that how good you all are at doing these things.
No, thanks.
So very good at interviewing each other, interviewing us. And it's just really nice to hear everybody else's opinions as well, and everybody else how they feel about things like music and creativity. Would you agree with that, Jill?
Yeah, definitely. I think definitely music is a connector, and I think podcasting is as well. It's having conversations about a subject that not everybody does the same thing, but you find commonalities, and that's really good.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree with that one. So that is the end of this podcast. We've obviously learned loads. Thanks for listening, and we will hopefully speak to you again soon.